All right, so why don't we dive in here? We want to hear what you have to say about this next topic, Paul, because boy, it's a big one. Someone wants to ask, am I a Karen? And what does being a Karen even mean? So somebody wrote into Slate saying, you know what? She's the kind of person who's always writing letters of complaint, calling people out on their bad behavior. She's that girl. And so she wants to know, is she a Karen? What does that even mean to you, Paul?
Well, to me, a Karen is somebody who complains vociferously about something they shouldn't be complaining about, that is merely inconveniencing them, that they don't believe in, that is not necessarily the right side of the argument.
Yeah. And, you know, in pop culture, Karen has taken on, especially in the videos that have gone viral, a lot of these Karens are protesting something that is absurd. Karens protest the wearing of masks in grocery stores. We've seen Karens targeting people of color unfairly. So it has taken on a lot of what culturally we've been talking about. I can't say that I'm a Karen, but not because I'm an amazing person. It's because I actually complain about everything. So if I find it hard to target one thing to call the manager over, because by the time I call the manager over the first thing I was complaining about, I'm pissed off about something else. That said, I wonder what the male equivalent of Karen is, because it's not like it's limited to gender. And according to the internet, the male equivalent of Karen is Ken, Greg, or Terry. And I think I'm married. I think I might be married to a Terry, because Yasik has become such a Karen. Like the other day, he lectured a bunch of kids who were playing on their scooter, he said dangerously, half a block away in front of those kids' parents. A few weeks ago, we were on the golf course and a marshal came and told us that we were slow playing, which we weren't. It was the group ahead of us. And so he let the marshal have it and then was still heated up over it after the round. And he was like, I'm going to call the pro shop. And I was like, you need to chill. I mean, you had your say. You were right at the beginning.
Sit down, Ken. Sit down.
Yeah, pipe down, Terry. I was like, if you call the pro shop, then you become a Karen because the situation is over and we're playing the most privileged game in the world, right? So he listened. He backed down. But yeah, you know, heads up, there are Gregs, Kens, and Terrys out there too.
Oh, yes.
Well, we got a message from Karen on Facebook. And she said, my name is Karen, and it was funny at first, but now it's all blown out of proportion. Give us Karens back our name. And Karen, I am so sorry, but the movement, it truly did, at least for me, put a name to something I've seen. And like Paul defined, like a true Karen, I believe, is never defending someone else or sticking up for the little guy. They're only acting out of self-interest. And they mostly do, in the early days at least, have a haircut like Kate Gosselin's circa 2008. So it's a very specific thing. I've come close.
Man,
I'll tell you, I've come close to being a Karen, but only in airports or on public transit. But I don't go full Karen because I only talk to myself. I whisper just outside of like the earshot of the person I'm complaining about. Like if someone puts their feet up on the bus seat, you know, oh, must be nice. That's why the seat's there, you know, for you to put your feet up on. Or on an airplane, someone shoving like a carry-on that's the size of a small pony, and it's like, bucko, it's never going to fit, and I'm just talking to myself. No one can hear me, but it is somewhat satisfying.
Bucko. I mean, I feel really badly about women who are actually quite kind who are named Karen. Like if the meme was Cynthia, my name, I would be like, come on, I'm not that person. So I feel really badly. And I think we need to take it away and just kind of understand the spirit of this. But I'll call myself out. I have done things like this before in the past. Like I think it comes from this idea of being raised with this mentality that the customer is always right, or that, you know, you never want to be taken advantage of. So you want to like escalate that up the chain. The problem is a lot of times the person that you're complaining to has way less power on the power chain. And they really are just like, you know, doing their job as best as they can. can. And so you, the person who's the customer who has a lot more power in many cases, you end up coming off like a total jerk. I'll call myself out. I have done this before, and I felt really badly afterwards. I think what the difference is that I've recognized my Karen-ness as I've gotten older, even before there was a name for that, just like bad behavior in public or bad behavior in commerce, in shopping. And I think that what I've done is gone out of my way now to write letters and escalate up the chain when I've seen bad behavior in businesses towards minorities in particular. This happened twice. Mel, you and I shared an office. You remember that time where I was in a store? I'm not going to name this store, but I saw a manager berating a person of color who was on that staff, embarrassingly so. And I was so angry. So if you use your powers for good, then I think then
Karen powers.
Like that's what you have to ask yourself. Do I use my powers for good?
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I also think oh, sorry. I think you just have to define, and a lot of Karens don't, between what's inconvenient or displeasurable to me and what is a true injustice. And I think when they're screaming about, oh, how dare you do this to me, or, I'm not happy, that's less, than what Cynthia, what you're talking about. If somebody, if there's a true injustice happening, then you should stand up and say something.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the difference, because I want to know what the opposite of Karen is, because as the kid of immigrants whose second language was English, I witnessed the Karens. And in my way of defining Karen, it was people in our very small homogenous town really talking down and differently to my immigrant parents. And so as the firstborn kid, and any kid of immigrants knows this, you become the translator in chief, and you also become the security guard in chief, because you as a native English speaker are very attuned to those microaggressions towards your own parents. And in my case, it happens so many times. So the opposite of Karen was me learning at a young age to stand up against microaggressions against immigrants whose first language is not English. And that is something that has stayed with me my entire life. So I think there's Karens. And in this definition for me, and I'm sorry for anybody who's named Karen, it is that woman who's also, or man, who is using those microaggressions specifically against, people who are other than them.